Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel here, you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a ballaholic. I'm absolutely addicted to basketball. Just like everybody, I've got my own opinions. Now, if you like opinions that are backed by facts, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, but also be sure that you hit that notification bell and turn it to all so that you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. That's on every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, I appreciate everybody who's already here, who's kind of in the live chat. For those who are going to be watching this on a replay, definitely thank you for taking a look at this. Make sure you subscribe. Also, we're going to be setting up a new membership for those that want to contribute on a monthly basis to support the channel. Also, what you'll be getting with that is it's like a loyalty badge, and that way, whenever you're commenting in the chat room, we'll be able to see you and you'll get your questions answered at the end of our new videos. So this is going to be a different type of a segment where normally I do my my topic shows. We do those kind of pre-recorded. So I'm going to do it live today. We're going to see how this goes, but at the end of the show, we'll set it up for a question and answer. So if you have any questions, do your best to try to hold those to the end of the show, and then that way we'll go ahead and make sure we get those answered. So we're going to let a couple more people start to come in, but this topic here for this video is going to be the Brooklyn Nets 2021 upcoming preview. Now, they shook the whole roster up last season when they added Kevin Durant as well as Kyrie Irving. Now, we didn't get a chance to see them last year in the 2020 season, so 2021 is going to be the first year we're going to get to see the two superstars, the duo who've been friends, they kind of been planning this for a little while. We're going to get to see them in action. So we're going to give it about another 30 seconds, let a couple more people get in here, then we're going to go ahead and get this thing started, man. So I definitely appreciate everybody who's here now. Let me make sure we get all my background and everything set up. Let's see what we got going on here, man. I see ZR Gaming. I see you in the live chat. What's going on, ZR? Also, make sure y'all go ahead and hit those like buttons, man. Let's get the likes up. We gotta get the likes up. That way we if you can hit share, let's share this with everybody. Let's get as many people on these live streams as we can, man. Brooklyn, if you go in the comment section right now, let me know if you think that the Brooklyn Nets can win the championship 2021. Let me know. What's up, Jamal? What's going on, man? Let me know in the comment section below if anybody thinks that the Brooklyn Nets can win the championship in 2021. That's what I want to start with. Praveen, hey, man, I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate that. We're going to get the subscribers up for sure. Hit that like button and make sure you share this, man. Share this on your social media. Let's build this Ballaholic nation up, fellas. So listen, let's go ahead and kick this thing off, man. When it comes to the Durant, what's going on, man? I see you in the chat. What's going on, Durant? So listen, remember, fellas, do your best to save your questions, any that you may have. Save them to the end of the video. I'm gonna make sure I get to those. You feel free to use that super chat so that your questions will be put to the top, and I'll be able to make sure that I get to those questions first and foremost. Now, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The Brooklyn Nets have a very scary roster as they are constructed. Now, we had a lot of rumors about potentially James Harden coming over from the Houston Rockets, but we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets as they're currently constructed right now. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. These boys are loaded. Like, we know Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are 1 and 2. We get that. But let's not forget that this was a team that made the playoffs last year, and they've got a lot of good young talent. You got Spencer Dinwiddie, who led them in scoring last year during the regular season, averaging about 20 points a game. You got Caris LeVert, who was their leading scorer in the playoffs, averaging the 20 points a game. So you got two legitimate scorers in Dinwiddie and LeVert, who are now going to be the third and fourth options on this team. Now, this is a playoff team, and their first and second option are now their third and fourth. Then you got to look at guys like young Jared Allen. You've got Joe Harris, one of the best three-point shooters in the game. You got a legitimate sniper out there. So when you think about this team, when you think about DeAndre Jordan, you think about Taurean Prince, you think about all this talent that they've got. They got Tyler Johnson, who was a young kid with the Phoenix Suns, who was with the Miami Heat. I love Tyler Johnson and the potential that he has as well. You got Cabarro. They got a lot of talent over there. The Brooklyn Nets have a lot of talent, and they got a lot of depth. So let's look at that depth chart. Now, once again, at point guard, I think we're going to definitely see Kyrie Irving at the 1. I think at that 2 guard, you'll probably see Caris LeVert starting at the 2, with Joe Harris at that small forward, which makes a really interesting lineup decision because That means Kevin Durant, easy money sniper, he's going to be at that 4. Now, that's going to cause problems for teams that are trying to guard Kevin Durant at that 4. Now, we know he's a legit 6'11", 7 feet. He's got high arcing on the shot. So it's going to be tough for guys to guard him. Specifically, every report that I've read, every interview that I've seen, whether it was Gilbert Arenas, John Wall, the list just goes on, even some of the guys that are on the team with them, they say Kevin Durant doesn't look as good as he is. I've heard people say he looks better than what he was. People are saying Durant is back, like without question. People are not sleeping on the fact that Kevin Durant, who's coming off of a major Achilles injury, we're talking about a major injuries that have ended guys like Kobe Bryant's career, Carlos Boozer. Like we've seen some of the best players. Dominique Wilkins is really the only player to ever have an Achilles injury and then come back and make an all-star team and to kind of get back to being similar to what he was as far as an all-star level caliber after that injury. Like I say, Kobe Bryant, was probably the greatest player to ever have that injury, but we know Kobe was not what he was after as he was before. Durant, they're saying he's as good as he was. So if Brooklyn has any chance of making a deep playoff run, being a legitimate contender, it starts with Kevin Durant. He's the only player on this team that's ever been the best player on the championship team. So I expect him, if he is healthy, I expect him to make them an instant contender right from the beginning. I don't care how you want to rank it, whether you put him first, second, third, he can't be any lower really than third. Some may say fourth, so if you want to say fourth, he can't be lower than fourth. To me, I think right now he's in that top 3 range. Then you look at Kyrie Irving. Now, Kyrie Irving is the real question mark here. He's a question mark not from a talent perspective. We know his talent is undeniable. Kyrie Irving is a question mark because we've seen him try to be the best player on teams, and the teams just doesn't do well. We've seen him try to be the second best player on the team, and they go on to finals and potentially winning championships. He doesn't have to carry that burden as he did in Cleveland before LeBron got there. He doesn't have to carry that burden of what he was potentially going to have to do last year with Brooklyn in those 20 games that he played, where he was the best player, followed by a lot of young guys. As we saw him in Boston, it just didn't work. Kyrie gets to fall back and be the second best player, where he doesn't have to get he's not the first guy the reporters want to talk about. If he has an off game, the team doesn't have to necessarily fall apart because you got Kevin Durant out there. So him as that second option, a legitimate guy who to me has the best handle, not just in the NBA today. I think Kyrie Irving, in all honesty, has the best handle the NBA has ever seen in its history of the game. So when you put him, his ability to penetrate through the defense, listen, he's going to have a lot of room to work with. If you got Joe Harris on one side of the court, if you got LeVert in the corner, Durant on the wing, you got DeAndre Jordan in the dunker spot, who are you going to help off of? You're not going to leave DeAndre Jordan in the dunker spot when he can just throw the ball up, lob it up to him for a dunk. You're not going to leave him. You're not going to leave Joe Harris or Kevin Durant open. Maybe you leave Caris LeVert. He's not nowhere near as good of a knockdown shooter as those guys. But we saw last year, specifically in the bubble and the playoffs, he could put the ball on the floor and can get to the basket. So who are you going to help off of to guard Kyrie Irving? Because he is a nightmare one-on-one. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for every single team in the league. But then you also got to look at this aspect. How does Kyrie Irving mesh with these young guys? Remember, Spencer Dinwiddie, Caris LeVert, we saw them have some breakout seasons last year. Now these guys have to take reduced roles. How do these young guys deal with that? And how does the leadership of a Kevin Durant and a Kyrie Irving able to kind of mesh all that together? Like, for instance, LeBron James, in my opinion, is the best player in the game. And we've seen him go from team to team and try to integrate players regardless of whether their roles change, whether that was a Kyrie Irving, whether that was a Kyle Kuzma on a lower level talent-wise. But we've seen guys' roles have to change when he comes, but we've seen him make the best of it. How can Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving do that? How's their leadership styles going to be when it comes to these young guys? Now, once again, what I also love about this Brooklyn Nets team is the big men. The interior guys, when you're talking about DeAndre Jordan and Jarrett Allen, it's a lot of size. You got a lot of defense, a lot of rim protection. That's exactly what this Brooklyn Nets team needs. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant have never been confused as being elite defenders. Neither is Joe Harris, neither really is Caris LeVert. So the biggest question mark that I see with this Brooklyn Nets team is going to be perimeter defense. Now, off the bench, they added a guy like Landry Shamet, right, who I think is a good shooter. He's an okay defender. You got Timothy Cabarrot, which I think is going to probably be one of their best perimeter defenders, but he's going to be coming off the bench. You got Taurean Prince, who'll be coming off the bench. So that depth, they got some good, solid wing defenders. Like I said, Spencer Dinwiddie will be that sixth man coming off the bench. So I understand and I like what I see from this lineup, but it's real. Their defense is going to be up front. Looking at Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan having to defend a lot of these perimeter players who are more offensive minded. And I'm not going to necessarily say defensive liabilities, but they're not great defensive stoppers on that Brooklyn Nets perimeter. So those guys are going to be very critical to, number one, staying healthy, and number two, defending that rim. DeAndre Jordan, we've seen him do it. We've seen Jared Allen do it. They've got to do it, and they got to do it consistently. This Brooklyn Nets team, man, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a lot of talent here, but there are question marks. When you think about it like this, when you think about a Kevin Durant, right, and we think about a Kyrie Irving, I see it fitting because we saw how Kevin Durant and Steph Curry meshed together. Durant doesn't have to dominate the ball. He doesn't have to have a high usage. So Kevin Durant is one of those guys where, listen, you can have Kyrie dribbling, dancing, shaking and baking on cats, right? And then kicking it to Kevin Durant for an easy open catch and shoot. Or you give it to Kevin Durant in that mid post and let him just go to work, face up, back to the basket, spinning, jab stepping. Kevin Durant can work that angle. So I think they're going to fit together well. I honestly do. And I think with this Brooklyn Nets team, I expect them to be, without question, a top 3 seed. I'm going to get to my prediction on what I'm actually, I'm going on, because you know me, anybody who knows me, I go on the record. I don't have a problem whether I'm right or wrong. I'm going to make my claim, and I'm going to put it on wax. So stick right to the end of the video, because I'm definitely going to give my prediction on their record, their seeding, and how far I see them going in this year's 2021 playoffs. But here's another question for you. Here's another question. When it comes to Kevin Durant, we know, to me, he's one of the greatest scorers the game's ever seen. Like I say, his Twitter handle, IG handle is Easy Money Sniper. So that kind of speaks for itself, right? What about his defense? Now, this is going to be a real question because in Golden State, well, let's go back before Golden State. In Oklahoma City, Kevin Durant was never looked at as a defender. His defense went up to another level, specifically his rim protection, when he was on Golden State. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he had a lot of really good elite defenders around him. Klay Thompson's an elite defender. Draymond Green is an elite defender. They had Andre Iguodala, who was an elite defender. Now you're taking those elite perimeter defenders away, and now Kevin Durant has to guard some of the best players. Think about this. If Milwaukee is one of the teams who's been the best team during the regular season the last 2 years, they've got Giannis at the power forward position. Steve Nash has already come out on record saying Kevin Durant's going to play small ball 5 and he's going to play the 4. So that means that he's guarding Giannis. In those matchups, he's guarding Giannis. In matchups against the Lakers, for instance, he's guarding Anthony Davis. Now, Davis and Giannis, who would have to then guard him, they're better defenders than Kevin Durant. And I'm not saying they can stop Kevin Durant because, like I say, out of those 3, Kevin Durant's the best offensive player between those 3. But let's keep it real. Kevin Durant is the worst defender of those 3, and it will have to guard them while also expending energy on the offensive end. So that's something to keep an eye on, and we'll talk about that later when we start looking at matchups. When you're looking at teams like the Philadelphia 76ers, who most likely may have Ben Simmons at that 4th spot, he's an elite defender. And he even though, like I said, he's not 7 feet, at 6'9", 6'10", he's got good size to guard Kevin Durant. You look at teams like the Miami Heat, who we've seen them at times go with a big man, whether it's Myers Leonard or Kelly Olynyk at the 5, and sometimes you could put Bam at the 4. Bam's a legit defender. So how will Kevin Durant be on the defensive end having to guard those guys? Now, you may say, well, you got DeAndre Jordan or you got a Jared Allen. That's true. But if Giannis, let's look at Milwaukee. If you got Giannis at the 4, they got Brook Lopez at the 5. Are you expecting Durant to guard Brook Lopez? That's too much size. That's too much size, too much girth. You can take him down low. What about with the Lakers, for instance, where you're talking about Anthony Davis? You're going to put DeAndre Jordan and Anthony Davis? Well, then who's guarding Marc Gasol? Are you expecting Kevin Durant, skinny bean Kevin Durant, to guard Marc Gasol on the box? You see what I'm saying? So your big men, the Jared Allens and the DeAndre Jordans, they're going to have to guard these centers. And these guys, these unicorns, the Giannis's and the Anthony Davises, like, for instance, going against Philly, If Brooklyn's going against Philly, you're not going to put Kevin Durant or Joel Embiid. He'll get annihilated down there. So he's got to guard Ben Simmons. Now, I think that's a better matchup for him to have to guard Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons doesn't have that jump shot. So he can kind of use his length, kind of play him at a distance. But these are some of the things you have to think about, not just from the offensive firepower, because offensively, Brooklyn should be one of the best teams in the NBA next year. Without question, they're going to be one of the best offensive teams. I've got defensive questions. Now, we know defense wins championships. Defense wins championships. So Kevin Durant's got to bring it on the defensive end. Kyrie Irving, he's shown spurts, but he's an inconsistent defender. You know, sometimes against the Steph Currys of the world, he'll step up for a couple possessions and have some lockdown defensive moments. And then sometimes he just kind of gets lost out in Wonderland some places. So he's got to be more consistent. I think you're going to see Karis LeVert have to take his defense to another level, specifically because they're going to ask less of him on the offensive end. And you're not going to expect Joe Harris to guard the other team's best player. So, for instance, if all the people are projecting Brooklyn and Lakers in the finals, let's just run with that for instance right now. If you got Brooklyn versus the Lakers, you're talking about Karis LeVert having to guard LeBron James. Remember, Kevin Durant can't guard LeBron and guard Anthony Davis and be everywhere. So somebody's got to guard LeBron. So you're talking about Karis LeVert having to guard the other team's best defender. Best offensive player, whether that's going against the Clippers, you're talking about Kawhi Leonard. If you're going against the Lakers, you're talking about LeBron James. Or are you going to put Kevin Durant potentially on a Chris Middleton and let Karis LeVert guard Giannis? That's even scarier. He's just not big enough. So you got some questions out there. We got to talk about these things. Or are you going to take Karis LeVert and put him on the bench and bring in more of a defensive-minded guy like a Taurean Prince? These are some of the things that Steve Nash, a first-year head coach, has to work out. We also know who his assistant coach is, Mike D'Antoni. Now, let's just stop and think about that for a second. You got Steve Nash, never known to be a defender, and his assistant coach is Mike D'Antoni, who shouldn't even have a D in his name because there's no defense in his coaching scheme. This team right here, I see them running an offense similar to how Phoenix ran it with Nash and Amar Stoudemire. That's another assistant coach, Amar Stoudemire. It's going to be almost like 7 seconds left. Brooklyn's key and their strategy is going to be to score, run you out the gym. And I think they're going to do that to a lot of teams. The reason I start talking about a lot about like the Phillies and the Miamis and the Lakers and the Clippers, because the Brooklyn Nets goal, they're going all in to win the championship and they're trying to win it this year. You don't have many more elite years with Kevin Durant, who's already, 30 in his 30s, right? So you want to go ahead and maximize and win as many championships or compete for as many championships as possible with them. So one of the things you also got to keep in mind is this. Opening night, we're going to see the Brooklyn Nets versus the Golden State Warriors. Now, granted, there's no fans. It's just mano a mano. We're going to get to see Kevin Durant up against his team. And Kevin Durant, like a lot of players out there, he still has a lot to prove. Durant has to prove, can he win a championship outside of that dynastic system that Golden State was? Can he win a championship without a former MVP on his roster in Steph Curry? Can he take guys like Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert and turn them into champions? I was talking to someone on social media the other day who told me that Kevin Durant is the best player in the game. He puts him over LeBron, over Kawhi, over everybody. And who's that? Will Kim. Listen, if you got a question, Will, try to do your best. Say that to the end of the video. I'm gonna definitely make sure I get to all your questions. Also, guys, hit that like button. Let's get the likes up. Also, if you got a question, you can use that super chat if you want to donate to the video. Also, if you want to get your question, make sure you guarantee to get it answered. Don't forget to use those super chats. But when it comes to Kevin Durant, there's a lot on the line here. This is a legacy year for Kevin Durant because first year with Golden State to the finals, championship. When Kyrie Irving was playing alongside another bona fide star in LeBron James, it was to the finals. And the first year that he was healthy in the finals, it was championship. So if Durant and Irving are healthy, it should be nothing less than championship. Championship or bust is what it is for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not putting any excuses out there. We saw LeBron and Anthony Davis get together in their first year and win the championship in year one. We saw when Kevin Durant and Paul Pierce or Ray Allen got together in year one, we saw them win the championship. There is no excuse about these guys. Clippers didn't get a pass. When Kawhi Leonard and Paul George didn't win last year, they didn't get a pass. The Brooklyn Nets will not get a pass. So we got to look at this thing, man. Now, I'm going to open this thing up for a couple questions. Before I do, give me 1 second. Just want to make sure Oh, I think, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go and open this thing up. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure I got this refreshed. All right, let's see what we got here, man. Okay, so we're gonna start with ZR. Oh, first of all, I gotta get my predictions. I gotta get my predictions before we go to questions. So let me give these predictions. Then we'll go ahead and start chopping up these questions and see if I can get as many of you all's questions answered. It's 2021, baby. It's 2021. No fans in the crowd. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, the Brooklyn Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert. My prediction for these boys, I got them going 45-27. I got them finishing with the number 2 seed, not number 1. I got them with the number 2 seed in the East. And I got them making the Western Conference Finals. But that's it. I don't think this team here is going to make the NBA Finals. Now, I know everybody wants to see Lakers versus the Nets. Last year, when those two guys first got together, I predicted 2021 it was Lakers versus Nets. But there were some other moves that was made that just have changed my mind. Now, I'm not going to necessarily reveal who I have going to the finals. I'm going to save that for another video. But I don't have the Brooklyn Nets making the finals. And I think the reason, as I alluded to earlier, is their lack of defense on the perimeter. It's the inability, I think, for Kevin Durant to be able to guard the guys that he's going to have to guard consistently over a course of a 7-game series. So with that, once again, 45-27 is my prediction. Number 2 seed during the regular season. And I think they'll go to the Western Conference Finals before they are knocked out. With that being said, let's open this thing up, man. All right, so first question I got here is ZR Gaming 23 says, are the Nets beating the Lakers? Well, I just kind of pretty much answered that by saying I don't have them making the finals. So I don't have them beating the Lakers. I mean, think about that. How in the world would we expect? Let's just look at that for instance. Let's say hypothetically. Let's just say hypothetically they made it to the finals. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say I'm wrong, and they actually make it to the NBA Finals. Because everybody knows, if you saw my video about the Lakers, I got the Lakers in the championship, and I got them winning the championship, right? Who's going to guard LeBron James? You can't expect Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, DeAndre Jordan. You can't expect Kevin Durant, who's coming off Achilles injury, to do it, playing the power forward position when he's got Anthony Davis. So to answer that question, they can't beat them. Let's see, next question I've got here. Let's see. Ramaz, what's going on, man? Costas, what's going on? Will Kim says, do you think that James Harden is going to go to the Nets, or is he going to just stay with Houston, or is he going to the Sixers or a different team? Great question, Will. I think the biggest loser, and I think I did a video on this before, the biggest loser in the Russell Westbrook and John Wall trade, the Houston versus Washington, the biggest loser was the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see Houston trading Harden to Brooklyn for the package that Brooklyn wants to give up. Brooklyn doesn't want to give up Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant. And that's one of those guys is what Houston wants. I don't think a Dinwiddie and a LeVert and a Jared Allen, I don't think that package is going to be good enough. The team to watch for, to answer your question, is the Philadelphia 76ers. That's the team I would predict would be the team to actually land James Harden. So great question. Austin Bako says, who do you think where Giannis will go? Oh, where do I think he will go if he doesn't stay in Milwaukee? Great question. Great question. And I think I've answered that before, but first of all, if you are new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, man. Subscribe, hit the like button, share this. But yes, I think the top destinations are the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. I've done a video on him potentially going to Toronto, and I think I'm going to do one on him going to Miami. Those are the top 2 destinations, without a question. If you're asking me and forcing me to choose one of those 2, as of today, I would say Toronto, but that could change. And the reason I say Toronto is because Miami has recently locked up some money with what's his name, Bam Adebayo. They did I think giving him that extension, it doesn't take them out of the running because you got, the cap gymnastics that Pat Riley can do is remarkable. So it hasn't taken them out of the running, but it does make it a tad bit harder. So the best option, if I had to pick today, would be the Toronto Raptors. Let's see. Nico says, forgive me, I don't even want to butcher your last name, Nico, so forgive me. It says, should the Nets trade Kyrie for Harden? Should they? That's a good question. Should they? Yes. I think the Brooklyn Nets are making a mistake by not deciding to trade Irving for Harden. Think about that. James Harden at his MVP caliber level, best scorer in the game, and Kevin Durant. Everything that Kyrie Irving does, Harden really does better. Well, except handles. I give Irving, he's a better ball handler. But I think Harden is just as good of a passer, if not better. Harden is, to me, I think he's definitely a better scorer. There's no question he's a better scorer. And last year I saw him take a renewed, energy on the defensive end. So I think you could even say Harden, even though he's not an elite defender by any stretch of the imagination, I think you would even say with the size being a bigger guard, that he's a better defender on that end than Kyrie. So absolutely they should make that trade. Let's see. Other questions. Bryce, welcome to the channel, Bryce. Make sure you subscribe, man. Hit that like button for me also, Bryce. What do you think about PG-13 resigning with the Clippers? Great question, man. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Bryce. When I saw that contract, I fell out laughing. Listen, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm going to take my NBA hat off, and I'm going to put my Laker hat back on. As a Laker fan, I cracked up, man. You paid Pandemic P $163 million? A number two guy who hits the side of the backboard on wide open jump shots? A guy who will go missing on you and show he didn't have necessarily the mental. I don't want to criticize his mental because that was a different situation. But I wouldn't have paid him that money. I would not have paid him that money. I know they went all in, and to get Kawhi, they had to go and get Paul George. I get that. But man, listen. That right there, I think is gonna come back to hurt them. I don't like that. Let's see, get another question here. I thought I just saw one pop up. Jamel says, what moves does the Nets need to make to win a chip? They gotta get some defenders. They've got, like for instance, they've got Landry Shamet. They've got Joe Harris. They got legitimate shooters out there. I think they need more 3-and-D shooters. Guys like a Danny Green. Now, he's not as good of a shooter as Harris, but he's a better defender. Guys like an Avery Bradley, for instance, the Miami Heat just picked up. Guys who can defend better necessarily than they shoot. So because remember, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, they're going to take most of the shots. And you do want to have guys spotted around them to be able to hit those shots. But if you got legitimate rim protection in DeAndre Jordan and Jarrett Allen, they need better 3-and-D guys. And they got some trade chips. Guys like Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert, I think one of those guys are expendable. I would trade one of them to get better perimeter defenders. And because their talent is so good offensively, you can flip them to get a 2-for-1 situation. I would look to do that, man. I think they got to get better. Because think about it. And you need defenders with size. That's 6'7" to 6'9". Here's a good example. And not saying this guy is the one, but somebody like a PJ Tucker, right? Somebody like a PJ Tucker who's a solid defender that you could put up against a LeBron or a Kawhi Leonard. Not going to shut them down, but he's a better defender on the perimeter compared to anybody that Brooklyn currently has, and he's a solid defender. You see him? I mean, a solid shooter. So that's kind of, a Robert Covington, somebody who has some size with them that can defend. That's what I think they need. Because until they get that, you're putting Kevin Durant in a situation where he's going to have to defend the other team's best player a lot of times. That's why he was able to win championships in Golden State. He had Draymond Green that could guard the best team's post guy. Klay Thompson could guard the best team's perimeter guy. He could just focus on scoring. The game was so easy for him in Golden State. I want to see Kevin Durant have to guard Giannis, have to guard LeBron, have to guard Anthony Davis, have to guard these guys, and still give me 30 on the other end. That's the question, man. Angelo, welcome to the channel. I don't believe I've seen you before, so if you are new, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, share this on your social media, man. What's going to happen with Golden State this year? First of all, Angelo, man, I think that's a great question, and I feel so bad for Klay Thompson as an individual and the real, not the bandwagon, the real Golden State fans, because I know they were looking forward to making a run, and I think with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, getting James Wiseman, having Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, I thought they were going to be a legitimate top 3 to 4 seed this year. Golden State's in trouble, man. They're going to be in that 6 to 8 range fighting to get into the playoffs. I think they're locked for the playoffs. I do think they're locked for the playoffs, but they're going to be fighting with those teams like the Utah Jazz, the Dallas Mavericks, the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets. They're going to be fighting with those teams to get into those 5, 6, 7, 8 range. It's going to be tough, man. Steph Curry, now listen, we're going to see what Steph Curry's made of. Everybody talked about how great. Oh, wait till babyface assassin gets back. Okay, he's healthy now. He's healthy. He doesn't have Durant. He doesn't have Klay Thompson. What's Steph Curry gonna do with these young boys? The James Wisemans, the Andrew Wiggins. I think it's gonna be a struggle, man. I think it's gonna be a struggle. You can't ask him to do everything, and without Klay, man, he's got to carry a lot of scoring load. So, but he could be in that running, averaging 30 points a game up there with James Harden. He could be in that running though for sure. Let's see. Will Kim says, do you think KD could clamp Giannis? Man, listen, for Giannis' sake, I hope not. If Giannis allows Kevin Durant, who's coming off an Achilles injury, who's never been known as an elite defender, more of a help side rim protector, if he's allowed him to clamp him down, Giannis can give it up of ever winning the championship. He's got to be able to dominate Kevin Durant in those matchups. Like, come on, he's too strong. His gait is too long. His ability to just posterize, Kevin Durant should not be able to guard him. Now, I don't expect him to be able to stop Kevin Durant. That's a battle I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see that battle. But come on, I don't see it at all. Let's see. Let me get somebody asked the question. Let's see. Blackie Chan 55. Welcome to the channel, man. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. So what do you think about other teams like the Suns and the Hawks this year, since they made a lot of moves? Listen, first of all, I love the moves that those two teams made. The Suns and the Hawks are both in playoff contention. The Hawks, I have them as not necessarily a lock. I don't have them as a lock, but I have them in making the playoffs. If I had to predict my 1 through 8, they're in that 7-8 range. They're one of those two teams that gets one of those 7-8 seeds. They're going to be battling with the Indiana Pacers and the Washington Wizards. Two of those 3 teams I think are going to make the playoffs, okay? You can throw the Atlanta Magic in there. So those 4 teams, 2 of those 4 teams will be battling, and I think Atlanta will get one of those seeds. I love the Atlanta Hawks roster. They're starting to become almost, and don't take this with a grain of salt, they're starting to become similar to like a Golden State East, right? But you got Trae Young, you got Bogdan Bogdanovic, you've got Rondo coming off the bench as a vet, you've got John Collins, Clint Capella, Gallinari, and then you got those young boys, Cam Reddish, you got Hurta, they got a squad over there. So I like Atlanta. Phoenix, I like their moves too. I like the Drake Crowder move. That move kind of hurt Miami's front court. I like that move, and of course you gotta love Chris Paul coming over there. The only issue with the Suns, and this is my only issue with them. Number 1, I don't like their bench enough. I don't like it enough. Now they got a couple, 1 or 2 pieces that I think can be consistent. I don't like their bench enough, and I think the West is just too deep. I think the West is too deep. If Houston trades away Harden and they get worse, and they go through like a rebuilding phase, then I can see them making the playoffs over the Houston. But if James Harden stays with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins and Christian Wood, who would the Phoenix Suns replace in the playoffs? Who would they replace? OKC's out, but Golden State, I think, is going to pretty much take their spot. So who would the Phoenix Suns replace in the playoffs? Because I don't think the Phoenix Suns are going to have a better record than the Golden State Warriors. I think they'll kind of all be close, but I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Let's see. Matthew Lester says, why wouldn't Wilt Chamberlain be the GOAT when he's the most physically gifted and unstoppable player ever? Great question, man. Listen, a lot of people sleep on Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain to me is number 3 all time. No, excuse me, that's not true. He's number 4 all time behind Jordan, LeBron, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The reason I don't put him as the GOAT is 2 reasons. Number 1, he only has 2 championships. Now, I understand he played against the dynastic 60s Celtics. I get that. And he was the best player on the floor majority of those games. I get that. I rank him over the Jerry West and the Elgin Baylors and even the Bill Russell. I rank him over them. But Kareem's got 6 championships. LeBron's got 4. Jordan's got 6. You're talking about guys who got 2 to 3 times more championships than Wilt Chamberlain has, number 1. And number two, he had talent around him at times. We saw him with Elgin Baylor, at times. We saw with Jerry West. And he just didn't win enough titles. So that's, like I say, the stats he owns are all the stat records, basically, things that won't ever be broken. But you play to win the game. And at the end of the day, Wilt Chamberlain had deficiencies in his game that I don't think makes him the GOAT of all time. But great question. He did average 50 a game, yes, unstoppable. And I'm not one of those people who diminishes the era that he played in because he was bigger, faster, stronger, more skilled. You can't leave that out. And more skilled than his competition. That's what makes great players great. That's what makes Shaq great. That's what makes LeBron great. That's what makes great players great, is being bigger, faster, stronger, and more skilled than their competition. So I don't knock him for that. I just think the fact that he just didn't win enough championships for me to call him the GOAT when he's got a losing finals record and he's only got 2 rings. So let's see. Another question says, yeah, Will Kim said, wait, Jay Crowder's on the Suns? Absolutely. Jay Crowder's on the Suns, man. That was a good pickup for them, for sure. Ahaha says, do you think the Bucks are regretting the Holiday trade after the news that Harden wouldn't mind going there? Man, that's actually a good question. I never thought about that. I don't think they regret it because at that time, that's what they needed. And I think that move upgrades them at a position that it was crucial for them to get. They needed better playmaking. And as good of a defender as Bledsoe is, Drew Holiday's a better defender. So you get a ever so slightly better defender, but you're getting a better playmaker, better offensive player. So that's and you get somebody who can take the ball out of Giannis' hands and make the game easier for Giannis. So I don't think they regret it, but I think they're keeping their eyes open. I think they would flip a Chris Middleton, and they probably even, I don't know what the CBA rules are, but they probably would get rid of a Drew Holiday for James Harden if necessary. So anybody but Giannis, they would get rid of. Everybody but Giannis is expendable. So if Harden wants to go there, they'll make that happen for sure. Damu Brizo, welcome to the channel, Damu. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button for me, man. Damu says, bro, the Nets out of the East and Lakers are Golden State out the West. Damu, my brother, let me shine some light on you. No chance. I mean, 0 chance. I'm taking 100 to 1 odds. I'll give you 100 to 1 odds that the Golden State Warriors don't make the finals. I'll let you know, they're not even going to the conference finals, my brother. Golden State Warriors season was over when Klay Thompson went down. Just that simple, man. It's a sad reality. But that team has no chance. Not even Western Conference Finals. Not even Western Conference Finals. Let's see. Blackie Chan says, do you think Zion will step up this year because with this roster he has, I think he make the AC? Man, listen. For those who don't know, Zion Williamson is my favorite player in the NBA today. And I can't wait. I heard so many people that had criticized Zion, and I can't wait. He is about to unleash the wrath of Zion on the NBA, man. Listen, his physical attributes, his quick first step, his second jump, he's going to be a problem. And they put some really good pieces around him. Steven Adams at that 5 position is going to help him a lot. Derek Favors just wasn't good enough, man. Bottom line, he just wasn't good enough. Steven Adams as a solid screen setter, as a solid rebounder, defender, he's just better. And I think that's going to help Zion to have where he can play that 4 position, face up on a lot of these forwards, where the guys that are bigger, he can face up. Guys that are small, he can take them to the post. He's going to abuse some people. And I think we're going to start to see the Zion that played at Duke University compared to the Zion that was in the bubble. The Zion that was in the bubble, he went through some, had to be quarantined, leaving. It just wasn't the Zion that we saw. Even when he came into his first, 20 games in his career, that Zion, we're going to see that Zion. So they're going to be good. Just like the Suns, I don't think they make the playoffs. Playoffs is just too loaded, though, man. Playoffs are just too loaded for them to make it there. But, actually, let me take that back. I think the playoffs the West is too loaded for them to be a top 8 seed. But we have to remember this, even with the Phoenix Suns. There's a play-in tournament. So 7th through 10th seed are going to be in that play-in tournament. So you could be the 10th seed to make the playoffs. So I think Phoenix and the Pelicans will be in that 9th, 10th seeding. But one of those teams, or both, could potentially make the playoffs. I don't think either will. barring major injury to other teams, barring a major trade, like I said, with James Harden leaving the West, I don't see those two teams making it. But anything can happen, man. Angelo, hey, I don't believe I've seen you before. Angelo, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button as well. What is Portland going to do this year? Great question. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't done a video on this, but I'm going to drop the bomb right now. Portland Trailblazers are my sleeper team out of the West. I don't think they go into the finals, but I have the Portland Trailblazers as a top 3 seed. I think the Portland Trailblazers are going to be a top 3 seed, and I think they have a chance. They have a chance to go to the Western Conference Finals. The Portland Trailblazers were one of the toughest teams the Lakers played against last year, and they were just getting back healthy, and it still had some more injuries. Zach Collins, I think, he's still dealing with some injury. But look at that team that they've got with Nurkic back healthy, who they didn't have last year, which is why they were falling so low to that being that 8th seed in the playoffs. Nurkic is back healthy. They brought back Carmelo, Rodney Hood. You got Gary Trent coming off the bench. They brought in, what's my man's name? I'm losing my train of thought right now. Oh my goodness, I can't forget. I'm forgetting who they just brought in. It was a defender, big man. Anyway, I can't remember right now. But Portland, don't sleep on Portland. I think Portland is going to be a big time sleeper. I expect them to be top 3. I expect them to be one of the best teams, and they could potentially. I'm not giving up yet, but they are potentially on the border where I'm picking as far as who's going to be in that Western Conference going against them. I've got them, the Clippers, and the Nuggets. Those are the 3 teams. One of those 3 teams will be in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. Portland's in that mix with them, for sure, for sure. Oh, you already subscribed, Angela? Oh, appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate it. Let's see. Another question I got there. Fetty Wah, welcome back, man. What do you think? Or who do I think is going to make the Eastern and Western Conference Finals? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not giving that up yet. I'm not giving that up yet. You got to stick around. I'm going to reveal that. I'll say this. I already said Brooklyn. I got Brooklyn there in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I got the Lakers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Who they'll be going against, I'm not revealing that just yet. Yeah. Harley says stop with the Blazers hype train. Listen, Harley, I'm telling you, listen. I'm here every Monday and Friday. When the season is over, come back and make sure that you follow up with me to say I was right or I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm here. If I'm right, come back and give me my props. The Portland Trailblazers, top 3 seed. Jamel says, who's going to go deep in the playoffs, the Mavs or the Nuggets? Oh, that's a great question. I got the Nuggets. I'm going to tell you why. I love Luka. I don't trust Kristaps' health. I do not trust. When have we seen Kristaps get through a whole complete season healthy? If your second best player is not going to be healthy, that's going to hurt you, man. And they lost shooting with Seth Curry. Even though they added, better defense bringing in Josh Richardson, they lost shooting with Seth Curry. They didn't really address that front court. I would have loved to have seen them add some more size, whether it was a Hassan Whiteside or DeMarcus Cousins. I would have loved to have seen them add more size up front. Porzingis is the question mark. He's that guy that their floor and their ceiling is probably the biggest gap between any team in the Western Conference, man. Because if Porzingis is healthy, you can see the Dallas Mavericks not healthy. If he is consistent and if he's healthy, they could be a 2 seed. They could be. I just don't expect him to start the season healthy, and I don't know if he can finish the season healthy, man. So Portland picked up Enes Kanter. Yeah, Portland did pick up Enes Kanter, but it was another guy. I don't know if I want to say. I got to do. Oh, Robert Covington. That's his name. It slipped. Robert Covington was the defender I was talking about. The Portland added from the Houston Rockets. That I think with Enes Kanter, with Robert Covington, Carmelo, Nurkic, Zach Collins, Portland is loaded, man. Don't sleep on the Trailblazers. Angelo says, how are the Raptors going to do without Gasol and Ibaka? I did a video on that, Angelo, but just quickly to touch on that, I think their front court definitely has taken a step back. I think Toronto will be in that 5-6 range. I don't think they're going to be as good this year, even though I'm expecting the young guys, the OG Anunobys, the Terrence Davises, Norman Powell. I'm expecting those guys to get better, even Siakam to continue to improve. I just don't like that Alex Len. Let me rephrase that. It's not that I don't like it. I do like Alex Len, and I do like what's my big guy's name? This starting for them. I'm having a brain fart right now. I like their big men addition, right? Those guys are just not as good, Aaron Baines. Thank you for correcting me. I don't think they're as good as Gasol and Ibaka. Defensively, they're definitely not. Now, they add some ability to stretch the floor, but it's a downgrade. I know Gasol and Ibaka didn't have the best bubble, but that's an 11-game sample size. We're not going to replace all of what they did during the regular season for those 11 games. Those guys are just not as good. And so I think Toronto will take a slight step back. But, I mean, listen, don't sleep on Masai Ujiri. He could pull off a trade and go get James Harden out of nowhere. Like, we've seen him do this before with Kawhi Leonard. So I'm not going to sleep on them because they're one of those teams that at the trade deadline could add somebody that changes the entire landscape of the playoffs. So do not sleep on Masai Ujiri. Let's see. Question. Torstar, I hope that I pronounced that right, says everyone's still hyping the Clippers when they got to rely on Luke Kennard. Well, I don't think they're going to rely on Luke Kennard. He'll come off the bench, kind of replacing that Landry Shamet role. And I actually like Luke Kennard better than Landry Shamet because he's a better shot creator than than Shamet. But they're going to rely on Kawhi Leonard and Pandemic P. They're going to rely on those two to carry them. And how far they're going to do it, it's going to depend on the health of Kawhi. Is he going to load manage as much this year? I don't know, man. It didn't work last year. Everybody said it worked in Toronto, and I don't know. We got to see what they're going to do. Let's see. Aha says, do you think any good team should trade or could use Blake Griffin? Good question. Clippers or Portland potentially? I see the only problem with Blake Griffin, since maybe even Golden State, I honestly think he's one of the most underrated players. Health has been an issue for him in the past. But Blake Griffin is talent-wise, you're not going to question his talent. He's not his athleticism has dropped some, so he never really was an elite defender, so he doesn't really help you on that end. And he's not necessarily a high usage player offensively, but he's not like a catch and shoot guy, right? He's kind of a guy who kind of lull you to sleep, kind of attack you face up, post up. He can pass well, and he's got a good solid mid range shot as well. A team that could use him. What about Boston? What about the Boston set? They just added Tristan Thompson at the 5, but what about putting Blake Griffin at the 4 with a Jason Tatum and a Kemba Walker and a Marcus Smart? I would give up. Would you give up? That's the question. Would you give up Jaylen Brown for Blake Griffin? Jaylen Brown and some picks or something. I actually think that actually may make Boston better and to become a legitimate contender. I don't know. Something to think about. So you don't want to hear any news about the Clippers. I'm with you, man. I don't want to hear anything about the Clippers until the Clippers. Listen, I don't want to hear anything about the Clippers until the Clippers make some noise in the playoffs. Get to the Western Conference Finals. Lakers will be there. Get to the Western Conference Finals, then we'll talk about the Clippers. Before then, I don't care what they do in the regular season. They could go 72-0. I don't care until the playoffs come. I want to see that franchise, the whole organization, get out the second round. Turn injuries off, and who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Is it still Jordan? Absolutely. I mean, Jordan even suffered a major injury in his second year, missed his whole second year, so his stats would have gone up had he played that year. Without question, Jordan is still the GOAT. Who's got the best city edition jersey? Great question. I got the Phoenix Suns. I love those Phoenix Suns jerseys. The black with the neon, the orange and the purple. Those jerseys, fire, man. Says, I feel like Curry and CP3 rivalry is being played down. Oh, you say you want to see a Suns, Golden State, Clippers, Mavs first round? I wouldn't mind seeing Clippers, Mavs. I just want to see Mavs healthy, man. I honestly believe if Dallas was healthy, if the ref didn't, and I don't want to use cheat, but if the ref didn't get rid of Porzingis in game 1 and the Porzingis doesn't get hurt in the later round or later games, I had Dallas beating Golden State, man. Dallas could have really sent Golden State home in 5-6 games last year. Excuse me. Dallas could have sent the Clippers home in 5 or 6 games had Porzingis stayed healthy. That was a bad matchup for the Clippers. That's why I think adding Ibaka helps them. The Clippers are going to be better this year. We haven't really talked about that. The Clippers are going to be a better team this year because Ibaka's a better fit with this Clippers roster compared to Montrezl Harrell. I think Montrezl Harrell is the better player, but I think Ibaka is the better fit, which is going to make them a better team. He's the rim protector they need, and he's the first legitimate center that can actually step out and shoot threes that Harrell couldn't do and Zubac couldn't do. So I think they're going to be a better team for sure. Let's see. Who do I think is going to take over the NBA when LeBron leaves? Great question. I think a couple of names you got out there, man, that you got to really look at. Of course, Luka. Of course, Giannis. Of course, Anthony Davis, Zion, Jason Tatum. Those would probably be my top 5. If I had to say who are the top 5 guys that would be competing for best player in the game to replace LeBron in, let's say, a year, not a year, let's say 3 years. Now, LeBron could lose the best title status this year or next year. The only 2 guys I think would even be in the running to take that title would be Anthony Davis or Giannis. I don't think Kawhi plays enough games during the regular season. That's not true. If Kevin Durant wins the championship, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Anthony Davis, those are only 3 I think right now over the next year or 2 they could take that title from him. If you're talking 3 to 5 years, like once he's actually out of the league, I think you start looking at guys like Luka and Zion and Jason Tatum. Those 3. Zion is a guy people still sleep on, and I think he's, like I said, he's about 3-5 years out before you start to really see he gets some man strength. He's already big and strong, but he's going to get some man strength. The game will start slowing down for him. Zion's going to be a monster. Luka, we already see he's a monster. I want to see him improve on the defensive end, but he's a monster. And Jason Tatum, he's so silky smooth, and he's got defense, and I mean he's efficient. Jason Tatum's only going to get better. He's still young. He's got the size. Like those 3 right there, I think are the top 3 guys that 3 to 5 years down the road could potentially replace LeBron as the best player in the game. But the 3 right now, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Anthony Davis are the only 3 I think that could take the crown from him while LeBron's still in the game. Jamel says, who ends up with the better record this year, Wizards or Rockets? It's got to be the Rockets. Well, that's not true. That depends on if James Harden gets traded. If Harden stays on that team, it's the Rockets. If Harden's traded away, it depends on what they get back. Now, let's say, for instance, because I think the top team that would get him would be Philly. To me, this is a move I think the Philadelphia 76ers need to make. It's a move that, I'm not going to say it makes sense for Houston because you got John Wall, but Ben Simmons would be the guy I would go for. Ben Simmons is he's a supreme talent. He just got to get a jump shot. Now, Ben Simmons and John Wall don't fit together well. But if you're going to restart your franchise, which when you trade away Harden, you're restarting, right? So if you're going to restart, you want to get the best talent you can get possible. Ben Simmons would be that from the Philadelphia because they're not going to give up Embiid. And if you can put James Harden and Embiid together, that's special. So I think Philly should look to make that move. And I think that would probably be the best way in that situation. And if that happened, if Houston gets Ben Simmons, I don't like that pairing with John Wall, so the Wizards could potentially have a better record because the West is so deep. Or if let's just say, for instance, if Houston trades Harden for a package of other guys like a Dinwiddie and a Karis LeVert, they kind of settle for a package like that, I would then pick the Wizards because I like that. I think Wizards is going to be in that 7th, 8th seed. Russell Westbrook, people are disrespecting Russell Westbrook, and they need to stop doing it. They need to stop doing it. Russell Westbrook can play. Anybody who's ever been a teammate of his, they love him as a teammate. You know, he's not the most, his IQ's not the highest, not the most efficient guy, but he's a dog, and he's going to give you everything he has every single night on the court. So I think, him and Bradley Beal are going to be a problem. That's the best backcourt in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be a problem, man. But to answer your question, I think the Rockets right now. Matthew, you shouted me out on my Insta, my guy. Well, Matthew, I appreciate that, man. I don't know. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm more on Facebook than Instagram. I'm still getting new to Instagram, trying to learn it. So if you did give me a shout out, I appreciate that. I'm going to try to make sure I go and, reply to that. But thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Who wins Rookie of the Year? I think Rookie of the Year is going to go to LaMelo Ball. I said before the draft, he's the best player in the NBA draft. They're giving him the keys. The talent is there. He's got something to prove. I don't see any reason why, because he's the best all-around. He's not the best scorer. He's not the best defender. He's not the most athletic. He's not the best shooter. But all around, the guy who's going to give you points, rebounds, assists, steals, LaMelo. I got to go LaMelo. And Charlotte Hornets, they're not going to win a ton of games, but they're going to be much better than they were last year. Adding Gordon Hayward, I think, helps. PJ Washington's going to be better. Like they're going to be all right. They're going to miss the playoffs, but they'll be better. What do I think of Kyrie's media fine? $25,000 they fined that man for not doing his job. So, listen, when you do the crime, fellas, you got to do the time. The reality is he knows what his obligations are. You're a multi-millionaire. When they say get in front of the media and talk, that's part of your job for getting paid millions of dollars. So I'm not mad that a millionaire had to lose $25,000 because he didn't do his job, number one. Number two, his comment about not wanting to talk to pawns, I guess relating the media to being pawns. Listen, man, Kyrie, and this is one of the issues I have with Brooklyn. The leadership. This is one of the leaders of the Brooklyn Nets. This is why Kevin Durant has to. Hopefully, his time around Steve Kerr and Steph Curry, he's learned how to be a true leader that can lead a team of men. He's got to lead this team because Kyrie Irving can't be the leader. He's just not. He's not. I'm not gonna say he's not mature enough. I don't think he's personable enough to get these young guys to want to galvanize and get behind him, man. Like the comment that he made, I'm not necessarily mad that he made it because he's entitled to say what he wants, entitled to do what he feels. But this is your job, and you're getting paid buku money to just spend 5 minutes talking to the media. It's like what Marshawn Lynch said. Marshawn Lynch, I'm not a football fan at all, but Marshawn Lynch is my favorite football player of all time. And one of the things you love that he always said is, "I'm just here so I don't get fined. Just show up, give him a Greg Popovich type answer, and get on up out of there, man." But hey, he got $25,000 to throw away. Now I do love what he said about what they should do with the money. NBA, listen, you took $25,000 from a man. Okay, he violated the rule. You get the money. Give that money to the community somewhere in Brooklyn. Donate that $25,000 to a community in Brooklyn that needs it. That's right. So I agree with Kyrie Irving there. Will says, "Do I play 2K? I used to play 2K. I was pretty good, I thought. But I used to kick Jamel Jacobs in the chat. He'll tell you I used to kick his butt a lot. But no, I don't play it anymore, man. I dedicated my time to creating this channel, so I had to give up some things, and giving up 2K was the first thing I gave up so that I could focus on putting out this content for you all. Let's see. Pranav says, Pranav, I believe you may be new. If you are new, man, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Jamel, you know I had to get you, man. If you are new, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this on your social media. But to answer your question, can the 76ers take a step forward with Doc Rivers? I think they can. I'm going to go ahead and break this to you. I've got my top 3 teams in the East: Milwaukee, the Sixers, and the Nets. Those are my top 3 teams. And between the Sixers and between the Sixers and the Bucks, one of those 2 teams I have making the conference finals against the Nets and actually beating the Nets to go on to the finals. I'm not gonna say who yet, but it's either the Sixers or it's the Bucks. Those are my top 2 teams right now. Not top 2, they're in the top 3. So to answer your question, yes, Doc Rivers is gonna make that team better. Adding shooters like Seth Curry, adding Danny Green, the 3-and-D guy, adding a legit big man to come off the bench, and Dwight Howard. We saw how Dwight Howard played a legitimate role off the bench. Now he's backing up Joel Embiid. Like, Philly is going to be a problem if they stay healthy. Adding better coaching, adding shooting, adding legitimate size, defense, rebounding behind Joel Embiid, they're going to be a problem. All right, Harley. All right. You sleeping on Portland and you sleeping on the Sixers. Fetty Wap says the Milwaukee 2021 champs. Let's see if they can get to the finals first. Can we see Milwaukee get to the finals? They got the back-to-back MVP, and they haven't even made it to the finals. Come on, man. You know who the last person to do that was? The Brooklyn Nets coach Steve Nash. Nah. So you're gonna come back and remind. Listen, Harley, if I'm wrong, please come back and call me out. I don't have any problem admitting when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I notice a lot of people disappear, and you got to go looking for them. And there's so many people that when I'm right, they just fall away to the wayside. So don't be one of them, Harley. Come on back and let me know if I'm right. Say I'm right, and hey, let's toast to the good life and keep it moving. Tavshire says, "What's my favorite team?" Hey, baby, it's Laker Nation. Since '89, I've been a Laker fan. We went through the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs. But I'm a Laker fan since just day one for me. So to see us being back on top and to start this new dynasty, man, it feels good. Especially after 6 years of being in the lottery. That was hard, man. That was hard. Kobe's my favorite player of all time. And seeing my Lakers go through 6 years of lottery, just missing the playoff, and having had, because look, when my teams win, I talk big stuff. So when my teams lose, my friends, social media, they get on me hard. So I had to take 6 years of that. But now we're back on top, and they done fell to the wayside. They don't even talk basketball with me no more because they know we riding high right now. He says, how old? Man, listen, how old do I look, man? I got the baby face, baby. And I still look good for my age. I'm 37 though, 37. So I was born in '83, man. Like I said, I got introduced to basketball in '89, and the way I was first introduced to basketball was my stepfather was putting on VHS tapes of the Lakers versus the Celtics NBA Finals. Now, he was a Celtics fan. I was a Laker, well, no, at that time, I wasn't even a Laker fan. To be honest with you, and this is how I became a Duke fan as well as a Laker fan. He was a Carolina Tar Heels fan, and he was a Boston Celtics fan. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't like him. And so I used to root against the teams that he liked to root for. Little did I know, he was watching VHS tapes of the Lakers versus the Celtics of the finals from like '86, where they, I think it was the '86 finals, where they actually won the championship. What was it, '87? It was maybe '84. Whatever finals it was, he was watching old tapes, knowing who the outcome. I'm sitting there rooting for the other team, and they wound up losing. Now, I didn't know this as a child, but I kind of realized that as I got older. So that's how I got introduced to the Lakers and Showtime, seeing Magic, Worthy, and Byron Scott, and Michael, man, listen, Coop and all them. So that's how I got introduced to it. And then my college team, because I'm actually from Durham. So I was from Durham. He was a Carolina Tar Heels fan. So I started rooting for the other team, and that's how I started becoming a Duke Blue Devils fan. And so meeting Grant Hill back, I remember going taking him to the gym to see Grant Hill and Christian Layton and those boys. So that's kind of a little backstory for you. Matthews, what's going on, man? What's going on? Appreciate you coming through, man. And listen, for those who don't know, I shut down the membership portion of the channel. I know Matthew was one of the members. I'm going to open that back up so everybody can get the loyalty badges. But I wanted to change the structure of the membership, so it'll be a lower cost fee. It'll only be like a 99¢. I want to make make it more affordable for people, but still people will be able to show support. Like I said, you get a loyalty badge anytime you leave a chat. Your name will be able to pop up, easier for me to be able to answer all your questions. So definitely listen. That'll probably be up this weekend. It'll be up this weekend. So join, man. Hey, help support the channel. It definitely helps me grow. If you can't afford it, I know some of you may not be able to afford to sign up for that. Your support can come in a free way. If you can't afford to pay, which is understandable for some people, you can support the channel by just hitting like every time I drop a video, watching the videos, commenting on the videos, and sharing them with your social media. That helps the channel grow. Let's set a goal as Ballaholic Nation. Let's get this channel by the end of 2021. Let's see if we can get to 50,000. Let's see if we can get this thing up to 100,000. Let's shoot for the moon. Right now we're at 7,000, and I'm grateful to be here. Let's see how we can get this thing in 2021. I think we can reach 50,000 at least. So that's the goal for us. I appreciate that, fellas. Appreciate it. Let's see. Any other questions? What time is it? Okay, so we just hit the hour mark. So for me, that's everything I wanted to cover. If 1 minute, hey, I like that, man. Now, 1 million is not necessarily realistic by the end of 2021, but it's definitely a goal we're gonna hit. This channel, we as the Ballaholic community, we're gonna hit 1 million subscribers. I'm speaking into it like LeVar Ball. I'm speaking into existence. Now I don't know the date. It won't be next year. That's not realistic. So you got to, when you set goals, you want to be realistic with your goals, right? We're at 7,000 now. I think by the end of next year, we could be at 50,000, if not 100,000 for sure. So those are, I think, realistic goals. But let's say 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Hey, we can reach 1 million, man. Let's go for it. 2023, I agree. Let's get it. Matt, will LeBron play tonight? No. LeBron and Anthony Davis. Oh, we got basketball back, fellas. We've got basketball back tonight. It's preseason, but it's back. I don't know everybody who's playing, but I know the Lakers and Clippers are playing. But to answer your question, LeBron and Anthony Davis, they're not going to play tonight. But we get to see the new Lakers. You'll get to see Wesley Matthews, Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Gasol, Montrezl Harrell. You get to see the new guys. And we're going to see who the Clippers throw out there. We're going to see who the Clippers throw out there. So tune in tonight and see who. I think there's some other games that's going to actually come on TV as well. Said Dom needs to shout me out more. Listen, man, listen, I'm appreciative for Dom shouting me out once. I didn't ask him to do it. He did it. I appreciate it. It definitely helped the channel to get a big boost. But I wouldn't dare ask him or expect anybody to give me another shout out. Like I said, what he did was from the genuine from his heart, and I appreciated that, man. So like I said, for anybody else who wants to help the channel grow, I welcome anybody helping the channel grow, man. Because like I said, I love what I'm doing. I appreciate engage with you all. Do this in the chat right now. I want to see everybody put up the number 1 in the chat if you prefer this style video where we're doing more live, or put the number 2 if you prefer the recorded type videos that I've been doing. Which style do you prefer when I'm doing topics? Live, hit 1, recorded, hit 2. Let's see what the audience thinks. Tavisha says 1, Suede says 1, Will Kim says 1, 2. Okay. Pranav says 1, Black Chan says 1. Harley says I like both. Tavisha says I like both. Graham says 1, 2. Well, Harley, now you're cheating if you say 1, 2. You can't pick both, fella. Just choose one. So we can go. Now, Premier. Now, Marcus. That's a great question. Now, once again, I'm new to the channel. I gotta check Premiere. Now, make a Premiere. I gotta see what that's about because I have never done a Premiere. I want to see what that's about and how that would be different from this. But it looks like everybody's saying that you all like both, but you prefer this style. One, because we can tell us opinion. Oh, shut down. What happened? Oh, my TV went down low. It looks like live, but it's pre-recorded. Oh, okay. Well, see, but that's the thing. Pre-recorded, I don't get this interaction, and I like this interaction with you all. So I honestly think I like this style, and I want to keep doing this style. But it seems like based on you all's responses that this style may be, what you all prefer. And if it is, man, like I said, we'll keep doing it like this because I want to try something new. I want to be able to engage with you all. It says 1 regular, but this occasionally. They keep going. You're really polished live. I appreciate that, Graham. Definitely appreciate that, man. I'm still working on my craft, still trying to get better. But I think, let's see, both for sure. Yeah, keep doing it. Okay, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna keep working. I want to. It's a lot of things I want to work on. A lot of things I want to continue to try to change. I'm trying different backgrounds, different locations in my home. So we'll see. We'll see. I've been thinking about also. Anyway, I'm not going to give you all the thought. You got to stick around and see it all. I got some things coming for you. Listen, fellas, if there's not any more questions, man, we're going to go ahead and cut this thing live. We got some NBA basketball coming on, so I got to check out what's going on. Who's playing? Listen, hold on, first, let's do this. I want to see who's playing tonight. Before we go, let's at least get on the same page as far as who's playing tonight, because we got basketball back, man. Let me say this, too. College basketball. I got to say this. I do not like what is going on in college basketball right now. I do not like what's going on in college basketball. They're canceling games left and right. There's no fans in the stands. And in college basketball, the atmosphere is everything. And then, I'm going to leave it at that. I don't like what's going on in college basketball right now. Okay, so tonight we got the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. They are at 7, so they're just about to start now. We got the New York Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons at 7. We got the Houston Rockets versus the Chicago Bulls at 8. That's going to be on NBA TV. Houston versus Chicago. Jamel, check your boys out, man. We're going to see what Patrick Williams, number 4 pick, Patrick Williams, we're going to see what he's going to do tonight. 10 o'clock, you got the Clippers versus the Lakers. ESPN. Hey, Harley, check out Portland. Portland versus Sacramento. Whiteside went to Sacramento. Portland, like I say, we'll check them out. Check them out tonight, man. I said this is more entertaining for me personally, but a lot of people maybe don't have as much time to watch the live stream. Well, see, that's a good point. But see, for those that can't stay on and watch the live stream like you all, there's always a replay, right? So once I end this, it'll upload as a replay, so somebody can go back and watch it all if they want, and you can kind of, put your headphones on and kind of be doing what you're doing and listening. Doing it this way, I don't have as many animations or videos and kind of edits that I can add in there until I get some more additional equipment, which is something I'm working on as well. But like I say, I think we'll do a couple more of these live and just kind of see how it goes, and we'll see how it goes. But listen, man, I appreciate everybody for coming through. Until next time, man, make sure that y'all stay out in the streets, man. You gotta stay safe. Make sure. Hey, listen. Also, remember this too. Be in any situation where you're going, right? We all have opinions. And one of the things that I try to do is I try to be conscious that my opinion is not necessarily better than any of you all's opinion. It's all opinion. Until it becomes a fact, it's all an opinion. But be mindful of the conversations that you're having with people on social media, because a lot of times people are out there trolling. A lot of times people are out there, trying to get you out your element, right? And, just kind of be cautious and be mindful of those people that you're engaging with so that you stay in a positive mentality and don't get caught up with the Twitter trolls, don't get caught with the internet thugs. I don't know. I know the age range for this group, for a lot of my followers, it ranges, from like 18 to 35 mostly. So just kind of be mindful of those things. We don't need any internet bullying and stuff like that. Like, everybody's entitled to their opinions. My thought is always make sure that your opinions have some fact behind it, so that you can talk intelligently about something. But that's my point on it, man. Listen, y'all be safe out there, man. Until next time, General Hannibal X, I'm out. Peace.